Hello and a happy dreary Wednesday to all of our friends and family of Grace Lutheran Church. I am here today to talk to you a little bit again about the hymn for the day for this Sunday that's coming up, the seventh Sunday after Epiphany at Grace Lutheran Church. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that hymn, which is hymn number 851, Lord of Glory, You Have Bought Us, in the LSB, the Lutheran Service Book. And if you're looking at this sheet, which we talked about a little bit last time, you'll see a lot of information right here on this page. The hymn name, or the tune name rather, is located right there in the bottom corner, and it is called Hivredal, I believe. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that word, but it's a Welsh word that means like pleasant and tuneful. And it is a pleasant and tuneful melody. And I'm sure that you guys will recognize it right away. I'm going to put a link to a YouTube video with the tune. There's also lyrics, there's words on this video, but they're in Gaelic, so you won't understand them. But you can go and listen to the tune. It's a really beautiful arrangement. And you can get out your own hymnal and you can read the lyrics that we have here for hymn 851. But again, this hymn, much loved Welsh tune. It was written by a man named Roland Pritchard in the 1800s when he was just 19 years old, which is more than I can say for myself at my age, but that's okay. Pritchard was not a pastor. He was not a professional church musician. Pritchard was just a layperson who had a gift and used it in service to the Lord. Pritchard apparently had a beautiful singing voice. He served as a choir director, and he even wrote a children's hymnal. And it's in that hymnal that we find this tune to which we have set this text that we find in our hymnal, which talks about how the Lord of Glory has bought us. The name of the hymn, right? The text. How the Lord of Glory has bought us, and now uses that good news, or continues to work in our lives through that good news to produce in us fruits of faith that benefit those around us. So it's fitting then that we would find this hymn in a section with hymns for society, because we are called to be that salt and light in our society, right? And do those things that God has given us to do to shine his light into the world around us. And that is actually why Pastor Jim Pierce, who is going to be preaching this Sunday, because Pastor Wilsey's on vacation, it's exactly why he has chosen this hymn and also the song Pass It On, which we're going to be singing after the sermon, why he's chosen these two hymns for our service on Sunday. In the gospel reading for this Sunday, Jesus is teaching the disciples and he's telling them to love people. But I'm going to read a couple verses for you and you'll get the idea of who Jesus is talking about here. So this is from Luke chapter 6, starting at verse 27. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. And Jesus continues here, going through the reading, talking to his disciples about showing love to not only people we like, but also to our enemies. And I think the command to show love to people even when we don't want to, in our sinful flesh, is kind of a hard command sometimes to wrap our brains around and to carry out on a regular basis. But the good news for us is that Jesus doesn't just give us imperatives like these imperatives that he's giving to his disciples. He doesn't just give them to us like a burden and place them on us as something that, like as a weight, something that we are burdened to do. He doesn't just leave us to our own strength and our own devices to be able to accomplish those things. Rather, he frees us from that burden, right? He relieves us of that condemnation of the law by his precious blood, so that we are no longer have to serve him and keep the law out of fear of what's going to happen if we don't, right? Out of guilt, condemnation. Rather, we can do these things in freedom through a motivation that comes from the good news of Christ, the love and mercy that he has shown us. And that's exactly what this hymn talks about. 851, Lord of Glory, you have bought us. In verse 1, we sing that Jesus has bought us with his lifeblood as the price, and that he continues to freely give us blessings that are countless as the sand. Then we move into verses 2 and 3. And remembering verse 1, remembering the good news that he has freed us from that burden, we now pray that he would use that good news to melt our hearts of stone, and that he would continue to work in us and inspire us to love and serve others, to pass on, right, to quote the other song that we're going to be singing, to pass on that love and mercy that he has given to us. And I can't think of any better way to close off a video where I talk to you guys about how Christ has given us this gospel motivation to go out and do his works than by closing the same way we close our services and saying, "Go in peace as you serve the Lord. Thanks be to God."